Bridging finance for buy-to-let, what I wish I'd knew before I did my first deal. Hi guys, so after I posted my video on this channel for buy-to-let mortgages, bridging finance, bridge-to-let and all of that, the messages came flooding in and they still come flooding in till this day. Sabrina, what if I don't qualify for bridging finance or a buy-to-let mortgage? Sabrina, what do I do if I don't qualify for a bridging finance or buy-to-let mortgage straight away? Is bridging finance safe? Will I get stuck with high payments forever? All questions like this. Bridging finance can be a brilliant tool to use, but it can also bite you if you don't know what you're doing. And today I'm walking you through my real life experience using bridging finance to purchase my last buy-to-let project. So bridging finance, if you didn't know before, literally it is a short-term loan to bridge the gap between, so that you can purchase a property and then obviously exit and move on to a mortgage. You can also get a bridge to let as well, which I did on my first project. That's all documented here on this YouTube channel as well. And within that is basically literally like having it's a bridge loan and then you move on to a buy-to-let mortgage with the same lender. So it's almost like a two-tier mortgage funding. So step one would be a bridge loan and step two would be your buy-to-let mortgage. So it literally incorporates both the types of funding into one. So bridging finance, it's fast, it's flexible, but guys, it can be really expensive if you don't exit properly and you don't exit quickly enough. And again, guys, I am not a financial advisor. This is just me letting you know my personal experiences. So your experience might be different to mine due to us having different situations, different circumstances, for example. And speaking of financial advisors, you can literally use Unbiased. They are literally like a matchmaking services for your finances. So they will literally look at your finances and then match you up with a financial advisor that is perfect for you. You can get their first consultation for free. The link is in the description box below. And guys, for everyone who does sign up, I do make a small commission, so thank you. So guys, you can use Unbiased if you are wanting to get into property but you are worried about your financial situation. So guys, my first time using it, I used a bridge to let on my first venture, and that was buying the flat. Again, that is on this YouTube channel. And then on my next project, I literally used a bridge loan and then exited onto a buy-to-let mortgage, and I used that for my commercial to residential project. So the reason why I used a bridge to let and bridge loans for each of these projects was to make that initial purchase. Both the properties that I was going to buy were in dire need, and it was a little bit of a struggle to get them straight onto a buy-to-let because the properties in both cases were not ready to go out of the gate. As soon as they were purchased, they weren't ready to rent out. They weren't in a rentable position, basically. So that is why I say it's really great to use a bridge loan. So if you have a property that is deemed by most lenders unmortgageable to go straight onto a buy-to-let mortgage, you can use that as a way to bridge the gap, add value by modernising, changing, renovating the property, and then moving on to a buy-to-let mortgage. So in both cases, I purchased properties, as I've just said, that were in dire need of modernisation, renovation, and they couldn't just be let straight out. So I used the bridge loan on the bridge to let to initially make that initial purchase, did the properties up, and in each of the cases then exited onto a buy-to-let mortgage. And in doing that, I remortgaged it at a higher end value because I increased the value of the property by adding value, by doing the renovations work, and then I was able to remortgage it at a higher rate and pull some of my money back out. Which, yeah, guys, sounds smooth on paper, doesn't it? But I'll tell you from now, the devil is in the detail. And if you see the playlist, the videos on each of these projects, you can see that it wasn't all smooth sailing. So the pain points and the problems. The main thing here, and this is crucial in this current climate, is that valuations, when you get to the valuations, these can really mess you up. Even if you've got the best laid plans in the world, you've set everything out. And by the way, guys, there is a link to a project plan in the description box below that can help you. It's a spreadsheet that I've done and it can help you sort of set out and plan your project. So you can plan your renovations, it gives you a specification section. You can plan out all of your specifications, you can plan out your costs, you can plan out quite a lot of things, your program and everything everything, and this will help you when it comes to the valuation part. It will help sort of mitigate against any risks, because it've also got a risk register in there as well. Those are for any items that could potentially happen that you don't know that are going to happen, but you've costed for it and you've allowed for that, and you've got an estimate of that within your costs. So if it does happen, you've got the money allocated for it. If it doesn't happen, happy days, you can take that money back out, and that can add to your profit at the end. But yeah, I've got videos on this YouTube that you can watch in more depth than that. But yes, and this happened to me on the last renovation that we did, when obviously interest rates, they're still sort of up and down at the minute, but they were really, really volatile at the time. It was when Liz Truss sort of announced her budget and everything, all hell broke loose. So the original valuation for that project, that commercial project that I did, when the valuers were quite spooked by the market being so volatile, so they were being really, really conservative with their valuations, and I still think they're slightly doing that today. My mortgage advisor still tells me that, you know, lenders are still quite twitchy about things, so valuers are still quite being really, really super conservative and undervaluing properties. Again, if you want to speak to my personal mortgage advisor, her details are in the description box below for some advice. But yeah, needless to say, my initial valuations, which was all perfect at the time, we were going to go for these valuations so that we could go on to a buy-to-let with a new mortgage advisor once I had added the value and done the renovation. Every single time we went for that, the value was kept undervaluing because they were spooked by the market, until we got a decent valuation. So that can be a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, we went to lender valuation a few times, and each and every time they kept coming back with a really, really low valuation, which scuppered the chance of doing a refinance, which again in turn kept me within on that bridge loan, and my time for needing to sort of come out of the deal, the exit date, the bridge and finance lender was getting closer and closer and closer, and also prolonging the amount of time that I had to pay the monthly fees as well. So it can be really, really costly if that happens. If it does happen, you know, you're not alone in that. It happened on my last one. All you can do is just keep going through the process and until it works out for you. So undervaluations can really, really scupper you and mess you up. So make sure that you really do everything within your power to mitigate against that. Make sure you plan out your project as well as you possibly can. You've factored in for any potential risks as much as you can, and your figures are based on the lower end of the assumptions, so that you've covered yourself for worst case scenarios coming true. And guys, that leads me on to my next point, and that is extension clauses. Make sure that you've read everything that's on that, because if the worst was to happen and you do go beyond that date and you've not extended that extension period or anything like that, the fees can really, really kill you. It was literally really, really close to that agreed date that we'd set for the renovation and to have moved on to a buy to let, and if that had happened, that was going to cost me quite a lot of money on extension fees. And as well as the extension fee, they can also charge you added interest rates as well. So keep an eye on the small print, have a look at that, and make sure that you've costed yourself well enough and you've planned out your program. You've given yourself enough time. If you've said you need 12 months, say, just for the rule of thumb, just put down that you need 18 months, just so that you've got that extra bit of wiggle room. Now, the next point is that legal costs are no joke, and especially if you are purchasing as a limited company, there can be extra added costs involved in it. And also if you are doing the bridge to let finance, it's almost like, because it's two stage, it's almost like you've got two sets of legal fees to cover for each stage. Obviously they'll work out a deal, they'll give you that so that it's reduced for you. They'll give you a personalised quote for that process. But to me personally, it feels almost as if you're paying two sets of fees. And you've also got to make sure you remember the independent legal advice. Again, that is if you are purchasing in a limited company. That can almost seem like a waste of time, because if you are purchasing as a limited company, you've also almost got to see yourself as the third person. It's you, your company, and you know it's that kind of thing that you're looking at. You're almost lending money to your company so that you can purchase a property. So you've got to see yourself as the third person almost. But yeah, if it's anything like me, you'll have to have your independent legal advice session with an independent solicitor that you are originally dealing with, depending on what sort of situation you've got going off. But in my experience, I've had to have a totally independent solicitor that I've used. They've not been able to incorporate it together. It's not too bad. I think I paid about £270 270 plus VAT for the last time, and you literally go in and they just run through and just make sure that you know exactly what you're entering into, and they run through the offer and everything with you, and then you sign it off separately to your company. And they'll go through everything with you. Again, I'm not an advisor, I'm just telling you this is what I've had in my experience. Drop in the comments below your experience as well. So you'd have almost like a legal set of minutes of the meeting, the agenda and everything, and you'd go through everything with that independent solicitor. Again, I've got more in-depth videos on this on the channel already. And again, guys, your exit strategy, make sure you've got an exit strategy, not an exit fantasy. When I was exiting at the time, I couldn't foresee anything else in what was going to happen, and I didn't expect Liz Truss and everything to do what they did and for the market to react the way it did. I don't think anyone could have predicted that, but it just goes to show you that you get delays. They are things that are beyond your reach, beyond your foresight can happen, and it can cause delays. So just make sure you bear that in mind and you plan as much as you can. More delays is going to equal more interest, more cost, more fees. That is what is going to eat away at your profit. So guys, top tips from me, I would say make sure you've got your exit strategy nailed. This is why I kind of really preferred the bridge to let process, because you do everything. You get your bridge and finance, and then you move on to your buy to let portion of the mortgage, all with one lender. So from the get-go, you know what your exit strategy is, so it gives you that certainty. You've just got to make sure that you plan everything right and you give yourself enough time for the actual project, and that is what I want to be heading towards moving forward. So yeah, if you can get a bridge to let, I really highly would recommend getting a bridge to let over just getting the bridge and finance, because as I said, it gives you that certainty, takes the stress away. And with the way things go sometimes, I mean, it's calmed down a little bit more now. It was up and down for the last few years with interest rates, which was making everyone jittery within the market, which, as I've said earlier on in the video, it made the valuers really conservative and really low and undervalue so many projects. My next tip, guys, do not borrow to your limit. As I've said before, just so you can have that buffer, make sure when you're doing your project and you've listed everything down, as well as having your contingency for the project, you've also analysed and looked at your risk, and you've got a costed risk register. Again, there's videos on this channel as well to describe what I mean by a risk register and how to approach that. Check those out and they'll help you. Another tip is that you could choose a lender that uses like a retained or a rolled up interest, so that you're not making the monthly payments as you go along, but just at the end when you come to remortgage or refinance. That's a tip. So then you're saving that monthly cash flow for later on down the line. That's if that's going to help you. Again, make sure you research this and look into it and make sure that it's right for you and your circumstances. And my next tip is to use a really good mortgage broker. Again, my mortgage broker's details are in the description box below. You need someone that knows your circumstances well and specializes in whatever your circumstances are. For example, me buying in a limited company, my mortgage advisor's got loads of experience in that, and a lot of people will do now, but she's really great with that. So she knows me, she knows what I like and my finances and things like that, so she can give me a deal that really works well for me, not just looking to get a kickback from the lender. Yeah, you need to really make sure that you do your research and you have a really good mortgage advisor fighting for you in your corner. So guys, bridge and finance, it can be really good. It can unlock deals that other people might shy away from because of the limitation on lending, so that it can be a really good tool for you. But just remember, it is literally a ticking time bomb. It is a ticking countdown clock, and use it wisely as a stepping stone for your next buy to let, and use recklessly. It's a one-way ticket to Stressville. And guys, if you've got a bridging finance horror story, pop it down in the comments below so that we can all learn from it. And again, if you're wondering how to actually practically do a project, watch this playlist next where I do just that. Thanks guys, bye.